Good morning students and welcome back to the session. I am really very sorry for a bad voice, but I am on medication, I am taking medicines, but can't help it because whenever it will be cured, it will be okay, right? So, okay, let's leave my voice aside. Now, we will be continuing with the chapter that we had been doing in the last class. So, you remember, right, in the last class we were doing the chapter chemical kinetics, and in the chemical kinetics chapter we had, I think, 3 to 4 sessions where I taught you some of the other stuff related to the rates of reaction. And finally, we were there on the topic, the factors which affect the rate of reaction. So today, once again, we will be continuing with the same topic, but before that, I would like to give you a recap, maybe for 5 minutes, so that everything is fresh and so that, you should be more confident in the entire chapter or in the entire lecture that we will be doing today, right? So without wasting any further time, and I won't be speaking much today, so let me directly start with the chapter, and the chapter was chemical kinetics. So when we started moving on to the chapter chemical kinetics, first of all, the very first thing that I told you was the speed of reaction. Whether the reaction will be of a very high speed, which are very fast reaction, whether the reaction will be a very slow reaction, for example, rusting of iron. For fast reaction, you have seen any ionic reaction, HCl plus NaOH to form NaCl plus water. And then we had another reactions which were moderate speed reactions. So when we were talking about either the very fast reactions or very slow reactions or moderate speed reactions, I said that we won't be continuing with this, rather we will be moving on with this particular moderate speed reactions, right? And then in the moderate speed reaction, the very first thing I told you was to calculate the rate of reaction. So when we were having a discussion about the rate of reaction, I said that the rate of reaction will be basically of two types. The first will be the average rate of reaction, and so this was written, now in the terms of reactant, this was written minus delta C of reactant by delta T, and the another one was delta C of product by delta C. So change in the concentration of product with respect to change in time, change in the concentration of reactant with respect to change in time, right? But since the concentration of reactants will generally decrease, so you need to put a negative sign here so that the entire rate will be a positive term, right? Or in other words, then we had another kind of rate which was instantaneous rate of reaction, and the instantaneous rate of reaction was again written as minus dCr divided by dt or dCp divided by dt. So in my last classes, I have already explained you the meaning of all these things, right? Then we started moving on to the discussion about the law of mass action. So when I was teaching you something related to the law of mass action, I said that the rate of any particular reaction, let us say A times A plus B times B to form C times C plus D times D. So the rate of any particular reaction was found to be directly proportional to the concentration of all the reactants with each concentration term raised to the power some or the other stoichiometric coefficient, right? So here's the stoichiometric coefficient of A is A, so keep it A here, it's B, so keep the power as B here. Clear? After this, I also told you one more important thing, that the rate of reaction for experimental stuff was also written as minus 1 by stoichiometric coefficient, which is dA by dt, which is minus 1 divided by B dB by dt, which is 1 by C dC by dt, and which is 1 by D dd by dt, right? So once you know all these terms, you will be able to calculate the rate of reaction. After that, finally we moved on to, we then jumped on to the discussion that law of mass action is not really important to us because it was not actually matching with the experimental data that I was getting. So having ignored the law of mass action, we then moved on to writing the expression for the rate law. So while I have to write down the expression for rate law, I said that consider the reaction AA plus BB to form CC plus DD. This is the reaction. So here I'll say rate will be found to be directly proportional to the concentration of reactant A but raised to some power which is M, concentration of reactant B raised to the some power N, right? So this M and N were determined experimentally, they could be any value. So we had finally written rate is equal to K into A raised to the power M, B raised to the power N, where this K was also known as rate constant of the reaction, okay? And this value M plus N, if you will just add the powers, so we also studied that the rate with respect to A, rate with respect to A will be M. So if A is raised with respect to with the power M, so the rate with respect to A will be M. Then I'll say rate with respect to B will be N, right? What will be the order of reaction? And the order of reaction will be M plus N, right? So you know rate with respect to A is M, that with respect to B will be N, and the overall order of reaction can be M plus N, okay? And then we had a huge discussion, a lot of discussion we had on the topic which is rate of reaction. Also I remember telling you the distinction between the rate law and the law of mass action. Also I remember telling you the distinction between rate of reaction and rate constant of the reaction. So then we said the order of reaction can be a positive or a negative number, it can be an integer, it can be 0, right? So basically 3 reactions we will be doing: 0 order, first order and second order, right? So these were the 3 reactions that I said we will be doing in details in our today, like in our continuous chapter. So having discussed this much, we then finally moved on to another topic, which were the factors affecting rate of reaction. So this was the topic that we had to take into consideration. We had to study what all are the factors which are going to affect the rate of reaction. And the very first factor that I taught you people was the concentration. So to be more precise, I should have written concentration of the reactants. So we have got to do nothing with the concentration of products. The important thing is the concentration of reactants. So if you are going to bring about a change in the concentration of reactants, you can see that the overall rate of the reaction will change. And what was the change that we had studied? The change that we had studied was, so I said that the rate of reaction will be sum K multiplied by concentration of all the reactants raised to the power some stoichiometric coefficients, right? So now if I say for a 0 order reaction, since stoichiometric coefficient will be not 0, we are not talking about the stoichiometric coefficient, this has to be some number m. right? So we are not concerned about law of mass action, rather we are concerned about the rate law expression. So for the zero order reaction, where I said that the value of m will be 0, I will said that I would have told you that rate is equal to k into concentration raised to the power 0, and something raised to the power 0 is 1, so rate is equal to k. And as per the name suggests, this k is the rate constant, it's a constant value, so the overall rate of reaction will also be a constant value, it will not change with the change in the concentration of reactants. Clear? So this was our point number 1, which I think is clear to everyone. Now the second case that I had taken, and the second case that I took was, if order is positive, then I'll say rate is equal to k into concentration of reactant, some power which is positive. You increase the concentration, the rate of reaction is going to increase in this particular case, right? And then we moved on to our third category. If order of reaction is negative, so then we know rate is equal to k into concentration raised to the power something negative, which could be written as k times 1 by concentration raised to the power positive. Now if you increase the value of concentration, the whole term will decrease, and thus you can say rate of reaction will decrease, right? So this was the first factor that we had taken, how with the change in concentration the rate of reaction will change. Now having done this, we then moved on to our another factor which affects the rate of reaction. So the next factor which is going to affect the rate of reaction was the temperature. And what does this factor say? So this simply says that whenever you will increase the temperature, whenever there will be a 10-degree rise in temperature, the rate of reaction is gonna become 2 times or it will become 3 times, right? So the rate of reaction always increases whether the reaction was an exothermic reaction or the reaction may be an endothermic reaction. For any kind of reaction, we will say with the increase in the temperature, the rate of reaction will surely increase. So these were the 2 factors that I promised you people that I will be explaining in this class, and hence I think I have kept my promise of explaining these 2 factors in today's class as well. Now we need to move on to the third factor, and the third factor which is going to affect the rate of reaction is the pressure. So let us see how pressure is going to affect the rate of reaction. So moving on to our third point, which is pressure. So listen carefully. Now I think this must be pretty much clear for the reactions having solids or the reactions having liquid phases. So for the reactions which are having either the solid phase or for the reactions having the liquid phase, pressure is not gonna have any effect. Why? Because pressure is something like, because solids and liquids are something which are incompressible. So since we say that a solid, a liquid, it cannot be compressed. For example, this chalk is there. Let me apply lots of pressure, but you cannot bring the particles more close to each other. So when this application of pressure is not going to have any effect, so we can say that for the reactions which involve only solids or for the reactions which involve only liquids, pressure is not going to have any effect on the rates of such reactions. Okay. However, if I say I am now going to consider a gaseous reaction. A gaseous reaction means where certain gaseous components are present. So let us talk about gaseous reactions, and let us see how pressure is going to affect the gaseous reactions. So see, so when I am talking about the gaseous reactions, I will say that let us consider three different kind of reactions where A gas plus B gas to form 2C gas plus D gas. So see, count the number of reactant molecules. So 1 plus 1, 2, right? Count the number of products molecules, 2 plus 1, 3. So since delta Ng means change in the number of moles of gaseous product is equal to 1, I mean is a positive value. So this is one kind of reaction that we will be studying. Moving on to, so this is case number 1 that we will study. Okay, so let me first tell you case number 1 only, because once we will be done with case number 1, then we'll move on to the another set of reaction, which is our case number 2, where delta Ng will have a different value, not positive. Okay, so the reaction, the example for such reactions where delta Ng will be found to be greater than 1 is, will be found to be positive, is decomposition of PCl5. Now see, this PCl5 in the gaseous state is going to give me, let us consider the reaction is in equilibrium. So this is going to give me PCl3 in the gaseous state plus Cl2 in the gaseous state. So see, on the right hand side, in the product side, the number of gaseous products are 1 plus 1, 2, whereas here it's just 1. So you can say that overall delta Ng is a positive value. Okay. Now let us see in such case what is going to happen. When I am going to consider the effect of pressure, I will make sure that the volume and the temperature I am not changing. So I will simply write, since P dot V is equal to N dot R dot T, so I can say R is a constant, keep temperature and volume constant. You increase the pressure, you can just assume the number of moles are also increasing. So with an increase in pressure, if you can see, the number of moles will increase, now accordingly we'll move further. Now see, so what you are doing, let us consider this reaction was there, okay, and this is having two rates. One is the rate of forward reaction, one is the rate of backward reaction. So what do we mean by rate of forward reaction? Rate of forward reaction is the rate with which the forward reaction will take place. Rate of backward reaction, RB, will be the rate with which the backward reaction would occur. Okay. Now see, if you increase the pressure, so see what I am writing here, you increase the pressure, right? So pressure increases, it appears as if the number of moles increases. That means P increases, N increases. Now, so suppose there was a reaction which was already established, which was already in an established equilibrium. So you can simply apply the Le Chatelier's principle, because to an already established equilibrium, if you are bringing about certain changes from outside, you are going to increase the pressure of the whole system. You increase the pressure, you can see number of moles will increase. So now in order to re-establish the equilibrium, the reaction moves to the side where number of moles are getting decreased. And yes, we are just talking about the number of moles of gaseous species. So on the right hand side, how many gaseous species are there? 2. So number of moles of gaseous species are 2. So the reaction will start moving in the backward direction. So we can simply say that the rate of backward reaction will increase, whereas the rate of forward reaction will decrease. Okay, so the reaction won't be proceeding much in the forward direction. So this is relative. I am saying relatively rate of backward reaction will increase, whereas relatively the rate of forward reaction will decrease. Okay, so this is how the pressure is going to have an effect on the reactions which are basically having delta Ng value positive. Now let us consider another set of reaction, And this another set of reaction that I will be taking is, for example, A gas plus B gas is gonna form AB in the gaseous state. So now you can see carefully, right, that the number of moles of gaseous species in the product side is 1, whereas number of moles of gaseous species in the reactant side is 2. So you can simply say delta Ng is 1 minus 2, that is minus 1. So since you can say delta Ng is a negative value, so this is our second case. So this is case number 2. Now let us see how the pressure is gonna have an effect on such reactions. So let me give you an example. So if I am asking you to consider an example, you can consider the formation of ammonia. So see, nitrogen plus hydrogen are gonna give ammonia. So how many nitrogens? 2, 2, so 3. I think everything is balanced. Count the number of moles of reactants. So number of moles of reactant is 1 plus 3, 4. Number of moles of product, 2. So what is the value of delta Ng? Number of moles of product minus number of moles of reactant, which is coming out to be, so 2 minus 4, which is minus 2. So since you can see delta Ng is negative. Okay. Now let us once again apply the Le-Chatelier's principle here. We will just consider as if the reaction will be there in equilibrium, and we'll see on the application of Le-Chatelier's principle how the rate of forward and the backward reaction will be affected. So once again I'll say okay, so that is a reaction. See, if you bring about an increase in the pressure, so this is same as at the back of your mind you have to think increasing the pressure is same as increasing the number of moles. So you are increasing the number of moles. Now the reaction will proceed to the side where the number of moles of gaseous substances will decrease. So here it was 4, here it is 2. So the reaction will go more in the forward direction. So simply you can say the rate of forward direction will increase. Okay. So this was our second case, how on the basis of increase or decrease in pressure, the rate of the reaction can be affected. Now please don't start saying, okay, I'll tell it to you later. So let us now move on to the third case where I have taken A gas is just gonna form B gas. Okay, so on heating maybe it is forming B gas. So something like that I am doing. Now let us see what is happening here. So it is just like the number of moles of reactant is 1, number of moles of product is 1. That means the change in the number of moles of gaseous species on both the sides is 0. So once again, if I ask you to consider the reaction in equilibrium, this is rate of forward, this is rate of backward direction, right? So if you are increasing the pressure, number of moles increases, so the reaction goes to that side where the number of moles should decrease. But here also number of moles are 1, here also number of moles are 1. So there won't be any such change in the rate of reaction on increasing or on decreasing the value of pressure. Fine. So this is basically how till here I have taught you how the pressure is an important factor in deciding what should be the effect on rate of reaction. Should the rate of reaction increase or should the rate of reaction decrease, or it should remain constant. So on the board you can see all the 3 cases, and yes guys, you need to keep all the 3 cases in mind in order to tell the effect of pressure on rate of reaction. I have seen like so many students saying, ma'am, pressure increase, number of moles increase, reaction goes to that side where number of moles decrease, that's it. I mean, first make sure whether delta Ng is greater than 0, delta Ng is less than 0 or delta Ng is equal to 0. So what I am trying to say is, don't just randomly give any expression for the pressure. Make sure you are dividing every case into, like you are trying to subdivide each thing into the 3 cases, delta Ng greater than 0, less than 0 or equal to 0, and then only move ahead. Okay. So this was our third factor of pressure, like third factor, which was pressure, which was basically an important factor in deciding what is going to happen to the rate of reaction if you increase or decrease the value of pressure. Now let's do one thing, quickly note it down so that we can further continue with the another topic, and that next topic is the volume. So first I want you to note it down, guys. So quickly do it. Okay, so I think everyone is now done writing everything which is there on the board. So once you people are done with these 3 factors, it's the best time that we can move on to the 4th factor. And this 4th factor that I will be teaching you now is something related to the volume of the system. So let me now not give you the explanation regarding volume. Let me directly tell you, let me directly give you a question. Maybe on the basis of that particular question, you will be able to analyze the effect of the change in volume. Okay. So let's just, bad catch. So let's just start with the next 4th factor, which is the effect of volume on the rate of reaction. Okay. So let us say there is a particular reaction 3A plus 4B to form 3C plus 2D. So that is a chemical reaction that is given to me. All the products, all the reactants are there in the gaseous state. Okay. Now I am saying that the rate law expression has been given as rate is equal to K into A raised to the power 1 by 2, B raised to the power 3. And now I am asking you to tell me if the volume of the system is suddenly reduced to half the value. So if volume of the system is suddenly reduced to half, what will be the effect on the rate of reaction, or how the rate of reaction will be influenced, whether the rate of reaction will increase, decrease, if increase then by how much factor, if decreases then by what factor. Okay. So how are we gonna take this particular question? So see, the reaction whatever may be given to me, 3A plus 4B is gonna give me 3C plus 2D. I am now not very much concerned about the reaction that is given to me. Let us just consider that the reaction, all the gaseous species are enclosed in the container of volume V. Okay. And now see, the rate of reaction is simply given as K A raised to the power 1 by 2 B raised to the power 3. Okay. So now let us consider, you can say initially the number of moles of A will be Na, that of B will be Nb, and let's say the volume is V. So how can I write rate? K into number of moles of A by volume raised to the power 1 by 2, number of moles of B by volume raised to the power 3. So that is our rate 1. So that is initial rate of reaction. Okay. Now I am saying volume is reduced to half. So what will be the new rate? K doesn't change because K changes only and only with temperature. So K will remain same. Number of moles of A, you are not playing. You are playing with the volume and you are reducing it to half the value. So number of moles of B by V to be divided by 2 raised to the power 3. Okay, now solve it. K, 2 number of moles of A divided by V raised to the power 1 by 2, NB into 2 by V raised to the power 3. Okay, further what I'll say, I'll write rate 2 once again as K, Na by V raised to the power 1 by 2, Nb by V raised to the power 3 to be multiplied 2 raised to the power 3, 2 2s are 4 2s are 8, multiplied by 2 raised to the power 1 by 2, so 8 under root 2, right. So see here carefully, K, Na by V, Nb by V, Nb by V. So don't you think they are the same things? So if these two are same things, can I just substitute it here? So if I am just gonna substitute it, I will say rate 2 will be rate 1 multiplied by 8 under root 2. So the new rate of reaction will be 8 root 2 times the rate which was present initially. And this is how you can say the volume is going to have an effect on the rate of reaction. Okay. So see, for the effect of volume on the rate of reaction, an important thing that you have to understand is the presence of the order. So if the order is like 1 by 2, 3 by 2, 2, 6, 5, 0, 1, so accordingly the rate of the reaction will be changed on changing the volume of the reaction system. Clear? So now we are done till this much point. Let us directly move on to the fifth factor which is going to affect the rate of reaction, and the fifth factor that is going to affect the rate of reaction. So 5, 6, 7, 3 factors are left. Let's first do the fifth factor, and this fifth factor is surface area of reactants. See, this particular factor, surface area of reactants, is so damn important that after this fourth chapter, chemical kinetics, we will be studying our fifth chapter, which is surface chemistry. So there I am going to tell you how the surface of any particular solid or any particular liquid will be responsible in deciding whether the reaction could be carried out quickly or will it be carried out slowly. Okay. So what I am trying to consider here is the surface area of reactants. Suppose, let's say there is this chalk, okay, and I want to, let's say, do some reaction with the chalk, okay. So what I am doing, so you can figure out, like if I take a complete another chalk, it's a cylinder. So how will you find the area, the surface area? You will say pi r square, you will say pi r square plus the area of this particular side, right? Open it, and that all we have done in maths. So this is how you can find the surface area of this particular chalk. So now what are the regions which are available for the reaction? So let's say this white chalk has to react with the red chalk. So when they come into contact with each other, this is only this much area, right, which will be reacting, or this much area. So this complete area. Now the center of this white chalk, some particles which are there inside and some particles which are there inside this red chalk, they may not be coming in contact with each other. So when I am saying they are not going to come in contact with each other, that means they won't be reacting, because for the reaction at least you need to make sure that they come close to each other, right. So now let us take an opposite case. Let me just take the chalk on this floor. Let me stand on the chalk. I am wearing heels, so let me just stand there and let me press it with the heels. So don't you think it will become powder? And when it becomes powder, I am doing the same with the red chalk. Now everything is so powdered that if you now mix them together, then the reaction will be more quickly, reaction can be carried out more quickly, right. So that's a well obvious fact, or it's a well obvious observation, that if you are going to increase the surface area of the reactants, then more and more of the reactant particles can come close to each other. So if it's a huge ball, you have to divide it into small powdered form. So this is how we say. So if the surface area of reactants increases, you can say more particles can then come into contact with each other. And if more particles will be coming into contact with each other, then you can say more will be the reaction or faster will be the rate of reaction. Okay. So now I am saying that generally powdered reactants are much more preferred compared to bulk reactants. So the powdered form of reactants will really be good compared to the solid reactants as such. So you increase the surface area of the reactant and you will find that the rate of the reaction will also increase. Okay. So now more about the surface area of reactants, since I said that in our next chapter, which is surface chemistry, we are going to discuss the details about surfaces only. So I am not going to discuss the details of this particular point here. I will be discussing the details of this point in the next chapter itself. Okay. Now we are finally left with two other factors. The first factor is a catalyst, the presence of a catalyst, and the second factor is light. So light sometimes can be taken as a catalyst also, or sometimes can be taken as a reactant also. Let me now choose the another one as catalyst. Again, I will not be teaching the details of this particular topic catalyst in today's lecture, because in this particular chapter only the details of catalysis, like how catalysis can be carried out, will be, so it is actually there in the later part of the chapter when we will be doing Arrhenius theory. But still it will be like 5-7 lectures till we reach that particular topic. So let me just tell you the effect of catalyst in short. So catalysts are basically those substances which when added to the reaction system can increase or decrease the rate of reaction. Yes, you are right, I have said they can either increase or they can decrease the rate of reaction. So it's not that on adding a catalyst the reaction will always be fast, no. The catalyst further can be divided into two categories. They can be positive catalyst, they can be negative catalyst. So generally what you people would have heard are the positive catalysts, that on adding catalyst, like we were doing the production of ammonia, right? In Haber's process we add iron and molybdenum as catalyst. So on the addition of those catalysts the reaction rate increases. But you will also be coming across, so again in the chapter surface chemistry that I will be teaching you later on, in that chapter I will be telling you the details of catalyst also, like which particular catalyst can increase the rate of reaction, which particular catalyst can decrease the rate of reaction. But yes, catalysts are one such substance which can increase, which can alter the rate of reaction. It's better to use the word alter rather than using increase, okay, because catalysts can both increase and decrease the rate of reaction. Now having, so I agree that I have not taught you anything related to catalysis also, so don't worry, I will be doing it in the later part of the chapter. Now we need to move on to the last topic, and the last topic is the presence of light. Whether light will be responsible in changing the rate of every chemical reaction or it will not be. So all those things we are going to study in the next class, because yes, it is going to take some 10-15 minutes. So it's better that I will be telling you the details about how light is going to affect the rate of reaction in the next class itself. Okay. So today in this class we have completed almost 6 factors which are going to affect the rate of reaction, out of which if I start once again, first was concentration, second was pressure, third was volume, fourth one was temperature, fifth one was the surface area of reactants, and the sixth one that we have done, that we have discussed today, is catalyst. So there is one more factor which is left, and which is the presence of light. So let's do one thing. I want you to just revise whatever I have taught you, so that in the next class, once we will be done with the factors affecting the rate of reaction, we can then move on to some new topic in the chapter. Okay? But for today, that's it, because I can't speak more. You can see my throat is like almost dead. So that's it for today. Thank you for the class. We'll be meeting again very soon. Bye-bye.